This is Father Gregory Pine.
Who's driving this thing? This is Father Patrick Briscoe.
And welcome to Godsplaining. Thanks to all those who support us. If you enjoy the show, please consider making a monthly donation on Patreon. Be sure to like and subscribe to Godsplaining wherever you listen to your podcasts. Father Patrick, we're going to talk about Lent a little bit here at the beginning of the show, but I thought that we could start with a cool little Lenten announcement. Namely, you've written a book which should help people to navigate their way through Lent with greater abandon to God's designs in their life. Tell us more.
Part of the cover's up there, so anyone watching can see a little bit.
Father Patrick is also doing his favorite dance move.
Yeah. No, I'm currently like sprawled out in the new studio that I've set up here in Rome. Hence the Father Bonaventure style name.
Exactly.
Sweet homage down below. So I have mad respect for anyone who's tuning in here at not the normal time for a Livesplaining episode. Thank you.
That's right.
But this favors the European audience, and Europe matters still. Some people have the faith here, so we should.
It matters so much that you got a figurine of European glory and put it over your left shoulder. Oh wait.
I also have an American flag on my desk, which
Tremendous.
Everyone can see from the hallway. This is a front hallway of the Dominican Order's International Curia, and so everyone walking by that door can see this American flag on my desk. And one of the brothers comes in and he looks at it and he goes, "Yeah, you don't need that. We all know." Which is great. It's like, oh yeah, not blending, not trying to blend, just grateful for all the gifts.
Yeah. Even if they know,
I'm grateful for. I did do a Lenten thing. I should get to that. You gave me a prompt there, which is
great.
I wrote this collection of meditations for Ave Maria Press. It's called Witness, and that's what the little book over there is. And I like it because they're really different. It's actually a different take on that. I'm gonna have a really weird Lent this year, because it's gonna start here in Rome. So I want to talk about that, about Santa Sabina, but. But this meditation was really fun to write. Witness was really fun to write, all these different meditations, because it's about all the characters of the Passion. And it was kind of an extended reflection on the Palm Sunday homily, right? The great theme that the preacher takes up, which is, imagine one of the characters of the Passion and you listen to the long gospel on Palm Sunday. But this is that for every day of Lent. It's not the Palm Sunday gospel for every day of Lent, just be clear. It's a meditation on one of the characters of the Passion for every day of Lent. So some of them are better known, some of them are lesser known.
Who's your favorite lesser known?
My favorite lesser known is well, I don't know, maybe he's your favorite lesser known, but one of my favorite lesser knowns is the young man who runs away naked in Mark's gospel. The evangelical streaker.
Nice.
That's a kind of curious fact. So that's got to be interesting in there. I also love all the traditions about the owner of the upper room. That's a big one. And I was kind of, as I was going through it, I kind of got hung up on Lazarus too, because Jesus goes there to Bethany, and Lazarus just got raised from the dead, and Jesus knows he's going to die. I don't know, if I were with one of my closest friends, we'd be talking about that. So that meditation on Bethany was sustained and beautiful. So those are a couple of my favorite close ones.
Dig.
It is. Sorry, I just noticed that.
No, you're crushing it. You're absolutely crushing it. Just showing off the fact that you still have hair on the top of your head.
Sorry, I didn't mean to flex. Yeah,
no, it's great. It's all right. I'm just thinning out over here, feeling great about my life. I actually just had somebody knock on my office door amidst this here live stream, which doesn't always happen. I am known to like 3 people in this building, and so I tend to hide out, lay low, and otherwise escape notice. So I'm feeling loved despite my lack of loss of hair. Okay, so you wrote a book. It's called Witness. It's published by Ave Maria Press, and it takes us through, is it the 46 days of Lent or the 43 days of Lent? How many?
Yeah,
Did you take us all the way through Holy Saturday?
it's all the days of Lent, including the Sundays,
Nice.
plus the Triduum
Wow.
and Easter Sunday. So you're the math guy. You could count all that up, but
That's cool. That's
it's
47 days, my friends.
the full kit and caboodle.
That is. One time I was trying to figure out where we get this whole 40 days of Lent thing, because I don't know if you've ever counted, folks listening at home, but there aren't 40 days of Lent unless you
No.
count the Triduum and don't count Sundays, which that's a totally random thing to choose as a standard for inclusion and exclusion. Turns out there are like 43 if you don't count the Triduum, or 46 if you count the Triduum. But if you count Easter Sunday, and that is to say, if you are a person who is willing to read Witness and take it to its logical conclusion, then you will have 47 meditations, my friend. So gear up and get pumped.
Father Gregory, I was hung up on the 40 days and 40 nights of Lent because of the hymn, right? But
Yeah.
also because of then I also got hung up on the 3 days and nights in the tomb, 3 days in the tomb. Like that, I don't math good, but that's like, math. That's that's some pretty not good mathing right there.
No,
Um, it would seem.
turns out in the Hebrew mentality, exactitude of a Hindu Arabic sort isn't exactly the highest priority. You're just speaking poetically. You're giving witness. You're testifying. There it is. Okay. So here we want to go ahead and talk about, quote, gearing up for Lent. That is our chosen theme of the day. And so one way in which people can gear up for Lent is buying Witness from Ave Maria Press, written by one Father Patrick Briscoe, OP, STL, Esquire.
Should I put that in
You know
the
that
comments?
that law degree that you just got in the past 3 days.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there we go.
My esteemed pleasure. What are some other things that people can do? If you'd like, I propose a volley back and forth style. So if you want to start, I will volley back.
Okay, well, I started with Witness, so I think that
Oh.
Father Gregory will be asking you, like, what do you think people should be doing for Lent?
So the first thing is, my suggestion to you is that in your workspace, you have more than an arm's length between you and your phone. So we're going to suggest some penances. All right. So you know that the traditional penances of Lent are pray, fast, and give alms. The purpose of the prayer is to create space. The purpose of the fasting is to create space for the prayer, which gives rise to our issues naturally in the almsgiving. So we typically assign a certain priority to the fasting piece. And so I'm going to start with my little fasting recommendation, which is create at least an arm's length of distance between you and your phone. So that way you can open up. That way you can, again, create space in which to experience the Lord more profoundly. FP, bringing the heat.
Nice. After reading a book, and I have a suggestion there about what book you should read. After that, I certainly think what you were suggesting, keeping the cell phone at arm's reach, is good because it reprograms a kind of basic daily habit. So being attentive to screen time, totally there. I would propose food stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, heading into the fasting thing,
Yeah.
because there are ways to get really creative about this. Because fasting doesn't simply mean eating less food; it can mean all kinds of intentionality in your food. Although I think being hungry is good, but I think one of the more successful food Lents I had was my freshman year in college when I went vegetarian for all of Lent. The Easter Vigil was not as successful because I ate a bag of cheeseburgers, and that didn't go well after 40 days of not eating meat. But I did think I do think I'll spare you all the graphic details, but I do think that sustained food things matter, and not just giving something up or avoiding something, not just I'm not having chocolate during Lent, but being creative and attentive in meal planning, I think, is really important.
Boom. All right. Here's my elaboration on the food stuff. Things, again, the point is to create space and kind of get reacquainted with deeper desires or grander desires, because sometimes we settle for lesser desires or desires of a more comfortable sort, ones that are easier to satisfy in the here and now. So one thing I recommend is only 1 cup of coffee. All right, you might be the type of person who does tea or who does something else entirely, but limit your caffeine intake because often we reach for caffeine in such a way as to kind of quiet our appetite or otherwise distract ourselves from the fact that we're looking for something else. Another one is don't eat between meals for very similar reasons.
Mm,
Again, oftentimes we go grazing, as my dad likes to say, because, yeah, it's like it's easier than a difficult confrontation with our workload or with the day's tasks. Um, and then a last one would be don't eat. I mean, this is like between meals, it's just kind of a concretization of it. Don't eat after dinner. Again, we could add 1,000 things by way of suggestion. Of course, you're incorporating them into your daily practice in a way that you think is doable and graced. All right. So, like no dessert, another classic one. Father Patrick mentioning like the kind of vegan or vegetarian options. There are a lot of traditional ways in which to do this. The most traditional would be limiting the number of meals that you eat. So, the monastic fast, you go from having 2 meals a day in the non-Lent period to 1 meal a day in the Lent period. And this is something that's kind of au courant because a lot of folks are thinking about periodic fasting or they're thinking about limiting your eating window because this is just kind of good practice when it comes to
right.
cortisol regulation and just balancing your life. Okay, so those are my further elaborations of fastings that are possible for people.
Nice.
FP, other thoughts?
Yeah, for prayer, I'm gonna say prayer on the go. So given my whole new self-discovery journey that has been the EU and Milan and Rome, you don't have to take a car everywhere.
Mm,
This this was an interesting discovery for me. I mean, some people who live in New York already know this, but as a Midwesterner, man, I love cars. I love driving. I like parking close to where I want to go.
yeah.
I like being comfortable in my car. And I think that even in the Midwest where we drive as much as we do, um, there are a lot of places we could walk. And taking the time to walk someplace is a really good thing because it helps you like get in the mood for it. It helps you get ready for it.
Hmm.
So as I've been walking to and from my various classes here, I have been praying the rosary and listening to podcasts and sometimes just walking and not thinking about anything because I'm a man. I know this is difficult for women to appreciate, but sometimes you're just there and you're not thinking about anything. And that has been really good for my mental health, but my spiritual health, for my prayer life. Like I feel it making a difference in my prayer.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay,
Mm,
my recommendations for prayer are one, favor proximity. All right. So if you're in the habit of praying at home, hey, that's great. But see if you can make an effort 1 day a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week to pray at church. Again, Blessed Sacrament doesn't have to be exposed for it to count as adoration. Adoration just means referring your life to God. And I think that we can refer our lives to God more ardently and devoutly when we are closer to his Eucharistic presence. So I'd say favoring time in a church over time spent at home. The next thing that I would recommend for prayer is if you tend to overstructure, make Lent a time of silence. In the sense that, let's say that you pray for 20 minutes each day, you start with the daily readings, you think about the readings, you have your petitionary prayers, you have your kind of Thanksgiving type prayers, and then that usually leaves you about 1 minute to get bored. Hey, I'd say leave yourself at least 5 minutes to get bored. I challenge you even to whatever, like 10 minutes to get bored. But I think that if we conduct our life of prayer in such a fashion as to wholly avoid the prospect of silence because we're nervous as to what will happen, fatigue, distraction, worse, then I just don't know that we'll ever get as intimate with the Lord as he intends to get intimate with us because he really, really loves, it seems, working in that time of silence, even if we don't feel ourselves to be especially efficacious. Those are my recos. FP, sending it back to you.
all right. So for almsgiving, my major thought is like food, where you have to do something sustained and intentional. I don't think that giving to one thing in Lent is the best practice for almsgiving. I think it's great to take a number of things, whether you're doing something substantial once a week or something substantial daily. Like for example, I love this practice of minimalism where people go through Lent giving one thing away every day for Lent. Like you look around your room, you look around your house for 40 days, and you just get rid of something every day that you don't need. Father Gregory, I know you would love that. You're just constantly pushing things out of your office. But you're a scholar, so you need those books. But I think that I,
I'm illiterate.
I think that that kind of intentionality about giving things away and about sustained giving really makes a big difference.
Boom. So my thoughts about this are take the next step. So I think sometimes like we give, but we give in a way that's kind of anonymous or in a way that's kind of like sanitary. So I just say take the next step. So if you're accustomed to give money to poor people, that's great. Maybe think about buying them a meal because it puts you in line with that person for another 5 minutes. If you're in the habit of buying a meal for poor people, well, ask them a name, ask them a prayer intention, like take the next step. Or if it's the type of thing like where you donate goods and items to the missionaries of charity, take the next step and volunteer with them, on Saturdays in Lent for a period of 2 hours or something along those lines, or find something equivalent. Because I think that, yeah, especially in our busy lives where we tend to flip from this thing to that thing with AirPods in and a kind of gnawing sense as to what awaits us when we arrive at our destination, we tend to rush past a lot of people and we tend to rush past a lot of opportunities. But Lent can be a great time in which to kind of hunker down, settle in, and take the next step. So those are my final thoughts. FP, do you have any crowning glories, any final recommendations?
I think that a lot of times we enter Lent with programs, and I have heard a lot of people say, "Oh, you just have to be ready to give what the season offers you." And I don't believe that. I think it's really, really helpful to enter Lent with a program actually and to be committed to something because developing a virtue requires doing the thing over and over and over again. And I think that's the whole point of Lent. So don't allow yourself to be one of those people to say, "Oh, I'm just gonna kind of float through Lent and see what kind of magic happens in my life." No, you can reflect on what you're going to do, and of course, be open to the ways that the Holy Spirit is going to move you, but be sustained and committed to your program.
And as a way by which to conclude our opening remarks, we're going to use the 4 icons from Father Patrick's background as a way by which to concretize our thoughts. So, fasting, you can see there, you got the Jerusalem cross
Yeah,
behind
love
his
it.
right shoulder. So you can give to good causes in the Holy Land, like the Christians in Bethlehem, for instance, might be a nice way in which to direct your almsgiving. I think I said I was going to do fasting and then I didn't.
You did.
Fasting, you
That's
can
okay.
see over his left shoulder that sovereign symbol of our great nation. So you can find ways by which of supporting the most vulnerable in the United States of America, especially her poor and those who have otherwise been overlooked by state and church alike.
Well
But then
done.
that helps us to mount to prayer. You can use Witness, a new book by Father Patrick, as a way by which to enliven your prayer with rich images. And the Blessed Virgin Mary there, seat of wisdom with our Lord on his lap. Find ways by which to snuggle up and get close as Our Lady most perfectly models. So, Father Patrick, thank you for that very deliberate backdrop as a way by which to summarize our thoughts.
Yes, well, I'm glad that you paid attention when I gave you those notes before we turned the cameras on. You did a great job
Exactly.
repeating all of my ideas just then.
Thank you. Thank you. Let the people know. All right, people of God, POG. We are delighted to be with you, and we're going to stop at the top. We're going to start at the top of the chat and read some questions here. Feel free to drop them in, and we will go until we don't have any more, or until we hit the hour, or until one of us has a technical issue of an unresolvable sort. I suppose there are other options, but I don't need to make
Most
an
likely
exhaustive
to be
dialectic.
me at this point because
Yeah,
the Italian hamsters have to have a cigarette break.
savage. All
Yeah.
right. Carol the pirate says, Bonjour et bonsoir de Paris. Oi. And she made a pun in French. That's
The
incredible. Well done.
expression, incredible. Very good.
Savage. Okay. As someone who is attempting to discern where God may be calling me in life, how can I use Lent to aid this process? I'm going to double down on silence. Silence is a great place in which to look, to listen, to observe, and to follow. FP, further thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Lent is recognizing what our own weaknesses are and being open to the ways that the Lord is going to reach those. So it doesn't work that we can say, "Oh, I'm going to fix all these broken areas of my life this Lent." That usually is a bad program. But we can say, "I'm going to start to fix one," or "I'm going to be honest about one that is a real problem, and I'm going to head down that road." And oftentimes, that journey with the Lord is going to reveal where He's calling us in terms of a vocation.
Boom. And as Rascal Flatts once sang, God bless the lonely road that led me straight to you. I don't know exactly how that applies, but I felt prompted.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you. One of my friends in high school did a cover of that song in which he changed the words to God bless the homeless dog that led me straight to you, which for whatever, like in high school, you find certain things to be very funny. It's like, that's good. That is good. Okay. Samuel asks, any advice on dealing with the sin of wrath? You want to start it up there, FP?
Yeah, never feed a street dog.
That's
okay. For wrath, I mean, one of the problems with wrath, right, is that it overcomes our better judgment, and so we think like, oh, I'm just going to practice patience. That's not the best way to approach wrath. I mean, I really like the idea that wrath is tempered. Wrath is tempered by lots of downstream virtuous practice, such as developing a better sense of prudence or realizing all the ways that we ourselves are unjust. So wrath flares up when we think there's an injustice happening, but a better perspective of actual justice and injustice can help temper wrath downstream. So those two. Apart from all this, I'm trying to think outside of the standard advice.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm just repeating it over here.
No,
so St. Thomas talks about anger as a passion. So it's just the type of response that one has to an unjust situation, specifically when he is slighted, and it prompts us to a certain vindication. And vindication can be good, provided that it's informed by justice. But nevertheless, we tend to judge ourselves pretty generously, and we tend to judge other people pretty savagely. And so often enough, our anger is uncalibrated. And it becomes inordinately or disorderly in its kind of expression. Then we refer to it as wrath. The word that St. Thomas uses for anger is ira. The word that he uses for wrath is iracundia. And he would encourage the cultivation of two particular virtues, meekness and clemency. Meekness tempers the interior movement of anger, and clemency tempers the exterior movement of anger, namely punishment. So I think that we can stand to be generous with others, and we can stand to be a bit softer in our vindication than we might ordinarily be inclined to, kind of demonstrate. Because we're looking to cultivate communion, not necessarily to right every wrong. Those are some thoughts. Here we go. What are your thoughts? Ooh, it appears, it disappears. What are your thoughts on practicing the presence of God, Brother Lawrence, as recommended by our Holy Father, as a daily practice for growing in friendship with our Lord to become more Christ-like? Petra. I think it's great. So initial thoughts. My video is a little bit laggy. So if the people of God are ever so slightly distracted by my techno dance moves, I apologize. It's interesting that it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's more the mouth movement that gets me. It's not so much the technical. Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like a Muppet, like Beaker the Muppet, just meeping away. Meep, 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 meep. Meep, meep.
Exactly. Okay, so my initial thoughts are yes. Brother Lawrence, practice of the presence of God is tremendous. The Holy Father did endorse it. And Ascension has a new season of Catholic Classics coming out in but 2 months, which will be based on the practice of the presence of God by Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection. And it will be led by one, Father Gregory Pine. You know him. I know him. Father Patrick knows him too. And Rebecca Doherty, who is my blood sister. So it will be an absolute riot.
It's not that you have to choose your Pine, but I choose Rebecca's husband, Dan.
That's it. Dan's the man. Dan appears often in these live streams just to troll. It's impressive.
Can he be a special guest in Catholic Classics?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Almost
I want to practice the presence of Dan. No, I can't complete that thought because it's too irreverent.
For fear that it be impious.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on The
That was
PPG.
that was almost prudent. Sorry.
Nice. That was what. Yeah. No,
No.
kudos. You're growing. The Lord who has begun a good work in you is seeing it to
Mm,
completion.
mm.
All right. I'm picking up on vibes that you would like to move on. So we're going to move on. All right.
Oh, sorry. I
Father
didn't realize
Gregory.
you asked me something. I was
Nah, it's
just
better this way. Father Gregory, I've heard you talk a few times about asking for your mom's intercession, and it had me wondering, how have you navigated praying for a peaceful repose and asking for her to intercede for you? Or when did you move from the former to the latter? And how would you recommend someone else go about a similar situation with a lost devout relative? Also, hi to Father Patrick. Adam,
nice. Can I say something about this before you do? Um,
absolutely.
so to pray for someone's intercession, because I don't want to talk about Mrs. Pine directly, but to pray for someone's intercession after they've died in the most general terms is a completely reasonable thing, because even if holy souls are in purgatory, we're still connected to them in the dispensation of the faithful. So the church is the church glorious, the church suffering in purgatory, right? And the church militant here below. So we it's not as if there's some great divide. So I think that can help us recognize at least some foundational terms that we could totally ask for the souls in purgatory to pray for us, which we would think that every good person certainly would be. So to ask someone's intercession isn't necessarily a declaration of that person's canonization. Okay, and that was all. You could talk about particulars if you want. We can
No, yeah,
unpack
no, that's
the
great.
soul of old Reg there, but
I I don't have much to add except I think it's appropriate to pray for or to ask for the prayers of people who have gone before us in death. Like Saint Therese talks about doing it with respect to her 4 brothers and sisters who died in infancy. Um, and I think it's just because you typically appeal to the people with whom you share something, with whom you have a connection, and it would make sense to ask for the prayers of those with whom you have the deepest connections. My mom received the sacraments semi-continuously up until the moment of her death, so I'm hoping that she is in
in
heaven,
pretty good
um,
shape.
and so that her prayers have a certain efficacy there. But also, like, I prayed a mass for my mom once a week for 2 years after she died. Actually, maybe 3 years. So it was during her sickness of 2 years, and then for like 3 years after she died, I offered a mass for her every week because I've never had like a parish assignment, or at least I haven't had a parish assignment since 2018, which kind of wed me to the parish's intention schedule. So I exercised my evangelical freedom in that way because it felt right. But then 3 years after she died, I transitioned to offering a mass for her once a month because it seemed right, because there are going to be other people in my family who die. And at the end of the day, there's only 7 days of the week. So I figured that I would just kind of entrust my mother to the Lord in a new way, given the passage of time and the incredible amount of prayers poured out for her. I think that's all I want to say. Here we go. Father Gregory, I've heard you mention exsanguination a few times in connection with Christ's sacrifice on the cross in the context of the Eucharist. Can you expound upon what is meant by this term? Basically, the blood is separated from the body. Does Jesus actually lose all the blood in his body by the end of the crucifixion? Or does this rather speak to the totality of self sacrificial offering as a perfect Holocaust? The latter, my friend. I don't know that we have to
Mhm.
make a judgment as to whether he shed all of his blood for love of us. I think the reasonable response, or the kind of naturalistic response, is probably not. But the fathers of the church do have something to say about the blood and water, which comes forth from his side. They actually have a lot of different things to say about that. So that might be a fruitful little passage to look up in the fathers of the church. Things to add, FP.
Other than to say that the extent St. Thomas talks about this when he's describing whether or not the cross is the most somethingest. What's
The
the
most
best way for
efficacious,
Christ to have
the
died?
most potent, most fitting,
Yeah,
convenient.
most fitting. That's what it was. Sorry. Wow.
Here I come
Ho
to
dimenticato
bow
tutti i
down.
moni. Okay.
Oi.
So here we go. Whether or not the cross is the most fitting way for Christ to die. And one of the things that St. Thomas points out is that the and all of the sufferings of Christ were horrific, and that their magnitude is very great. And so I think we can hang our hats on that rather than worried about whether every last drop was poured forth. It's enough to look at the sacrifice and say, yeah, that signifies totality. That shows us that the whole Christ was offered for us.
Boom. Ba-boom, boom. I think I just realized that I forgot to record Your Eucharistic Identity book study from last night. I think we said that we were going to do that. I am embarrassed. I am
Oh
a bad man.
no. Is that
Nah,
right?
it's okay. It just became more precious to the people who attended.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to skip into the ones that have been submitted since the beginning of this chat and then bop back up to the remainder of the Patreon questions.
Mm.
So, what is the hardest thing you've chosen to give up for Lent? And have you done Exodus 90? Oh, nice. Oh, what's up? This is Amelia Topolinsky.
Nice. Meat and yes.
Meat and yes. For me, the hardest thing that I gave up for Lent, I can't remember. And I've not done Exodus 90. Let's go. William Newton. We got people joking. I think this woman is a parishioner at St. Patrick's based on a comment that appears later.
Oh yeah, we get some good stuff
Let's
there.
go. Let's go. Danny Pacelli. Hello from Ireland. Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I was
My
in
favorite.
basically Ireland on Saturday.
That's awesome. What was it
I
like?
was in San Clemente.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's basically Ireland here.
Tremendous.
Totally endorsed.
Father Gregory, random question, but is your dissertation publicly available? I've heard you discuss before and it sounds very interesting. No, it's not. But if you email Godsplaining, I can send you a copy. Oh, this person definitely knows St. Patrick's.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Bingo.
That's a deep.
Double bingo. There's witness for purchase, my friend. Turns out those praying hands are high fives, but whatever. We use things for our own purposes. Are you allowed to have devotion to the brown scapular, even if you're a Dominican and already wear a scapular as part of the habit? Yes. I just don't know of many who do. Why think about Lent already? We first need to prepare for the festivities on Rose Monday. From now on, it's all about donuts, donuts, and more donuts. Respect.
Excellent.
Absolute respect.
When is it in Louisiana that Mardi Gras starts? I mean, it's like basically the day after Christmas, right? It's okay. It's not that, but it is early in the new year when Mardi Gras starts. So
yeah, respect of the utmost sort. Okay. Marvin Bat says, I'm a Protestant. You all have introduced me to the riches of the Catholic intellectual tradition. How do I begin to explore what Catholicism looks like in community? Any special advice for Lent? Ooh. FP.
Yes. Special advice for Lent. I ought to have said this in the episode. I think it's a great thing to go to daily mass during Lent. Sometimes people think that when they go to daily mass, if they start going to daily mass, they always have to go every day for ever and ever. And I think that all or nothing terms are not helpful here. It's a great thing to do to go to daily mass like one day a week during Lent and just start that in your life. Go on Fridays, and make that part of your Lenten practices. Now for this question, that could help meet a small Catholic community. Oftentimes it's a lot easier to meet Catholics at daily mass than it is on Sunday mass, actually. Because Sunday mass is loaded and daily mass, people are just kind of, they're moving at their daily pace. Some people are hanging around, looking in the parking lot. That can be a step in. Another benefit of Lent is that there's all kinds of programming. There are usually Bible studies or other opportunities for prayer that are part of Lent. So check out a parish website or a parish bulletin for a church near you and see what's on offer.
Yep. I'd only add some places have great young adult groups. If that's your age demographic, might be a good place to bop in. And then adoration is another way in which to mature in Catholic faith. Proximity to the Blessed Sacrament is just a great help. Here we go. What does keeping the phone at arm's length look like in practice? Could you give a couple of examples of how that would look?
Hey, Belly.
Basic idea is this. Insofar as you can, dumb down your experience of life because the technology is too strong. It almost wholly overwhelms us. So when I say keep the phone at arm's length, I mean beyond the tips of my fingers, which are no longer visible on the screen. So like I put it on my table behind me, or if I'm sitting in one of these chairs, I put it on this chair, I put it on this little sideboard. But then concretely speaking, like
text you like 4 times to get an answer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I only look at my phone like once an hour, basically. But then like for instance, yesterday I was grading my students' work and I find that I do it best when I do it by hand. And so I just, get up and go away from the desk at which my computer is to be found. And I just sit at another desk in which there's no technology. So I think like creating space from technology in general isn't just a good way in which to be efficient, but it's a good way in which to be sane. Boom. All right. We got some recos. Peta thanks you. Amelia Topolinsky says that she can also walk and not think. These people definitely know the St. Pat's community.
Here we go. Yeah.
Dude,
I had
let's
coffee with
go.
Father Raymond this afternoon, actually.
That's
Rosary in the
tremendous.
dark. That's great.
Yeah, this person
You would
loves praying the
love
rosary in the dark.
Rosary in the cold dark of Santa Sabina, which is kind of my MO, like 7:00 here, just before Vespers.
Nice.
The Master of the Order is always hanging out in there in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And it's real dark. And in the wintertime, it's real cold. It's great.
Dig. Chantal La Fortune, thank you for the book club. You're a gem. Thanks for coming. Not sitting in the uppermost seats. I don't know what that means. I've forgotten the context. I made my son do that when he was 5. We gave away a toy for 40 days.
Nice.
My sister is always throwing away my nieces and nephews' toys because she's like, they have too many. It's just all the time. Stuff's happening. Okay. Nice. I always forget the context of these comments. Do you have a preferred Stations of the Cross to pray, Father Patrick?
I wrote one that I like, that I think
Yes.
is decent.
Yes.
So
What's the name?
that one is Eucharistic Stations of the Cross. But otherwise, I have to confess something very personal. I don't really like the Stations of the Cross. So I will do it when I'm assigned in a place that has it and I have to lead it.
Under duress.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, so I felt like I could be real about that. Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one, Father Gregory?
I do not, no. We always used to do the St. Francis of Assisi ones at Steubenville, so that's the only one that I really have in my head. I've been on like a couple of exotic experiences, liturgical experiences in which like the ecological Stations of the Cross were used. I can tell you that that is not my favorite. You may have also been part of those at one point. Not amongst Dominicans, people. Fear not. Well, you can fear whatever you want. Okay, people are on the topic of bald eagles. Do you know in the movies they use the call of a red-tailed hawk instead of a bald eagle? I've heard this. I've heard that red-tailed hawk is like caw, and that bald eagle is like which is not very inspiring.
Today, Father Benedict Kroll, I was hanging out at the Convito, and Father Benedict Kroll took me to the roof, and he pointed out the Pope's exotic bird cages, which are these lovely buildings that you can see from the Convito roof that you can't see from Santa Sabina. So I asked him, what that was. Do you care to guess what kind of exotic bird was kept in the Pope's bird cage, Father Gregory?
No idea. Bald
Turkeys.
eagle? That's
Turkeys.
awesome.
It's right up there with like the Benjamin Franklin desire to make the turkey the national bird.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a noble bird, but alas, not everyone is equally inspired by it. All right. Can you please give a shout out to St. Saviour's Dominican Sunday School families in Dublin, please? Shout out.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Thank you, families from St. Saviour's Dominican Sunday School.
Let's go, baby.
We're happy you're here.
We love it. We are just pumped. Okay, Giovanni Benjamin says, although
I'm feeling good about
theology is
Ireland right now, by the way.
Yeah, no, Ireland's coming in strong. Although all of theology is important for all of us to know, but what would you suggest to focus on most during Lent, and how would you go about studying it? Oh, I'd say the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I'd go about studying it by reading questions 27 through 59 of the Tertia Pars of the Summa Theologiae.
Nice, nerd. I agree with Father Gregory very much on it, very strongly, that the excerpts, Father Thomas Joseph said this in our Christology class, that the questions on the life of Christ are some of the most beautiful. They're some of the most profound. They're also some of the most accessible. So when people say, oh, I've never read the Summa before, I don't think I could do it. Those aren't a bad place to start, because it turns out you know the shape of the life of Christ. And then the questions that he's asking, we sorted, for example, through the fittingness of the cross, because I totally had forgotten that word. We sorted through the fittingness of the sacrifice of the cross earlier. And his investigation into the passion is extensive and extremely helpful for prayer.
Boom, baby. All right, Father, is your new book written to where a woman's Bible study could divide it up?
Absolutely. There is, in fact, I'm glad you asked. There's, in fact, a companion available for free download over at Ave Maria Press for a small group study.
Tremendous. And when you're done reading Father Patrick's book for Lent, you can read my book for Easter.
Sins of Speech.
Yeah, I wrote a book. It's called Training the Tongue and Overcoming Sins of Speech, published by Emmaus Road, and it's Fueguito. Father Patrick's got a copy. All right, Sabine.
I still
what
can't
about
believe. Hey, fun fact: copies of Father Gregory's book get to Santa Sabina faster than they get to Father Gregory.
It's true. Blew me away.
That's a win for the Federal Express.
That's a win for everyone except for me. But I'm here
That's a
for
win
it.
for me. I like the book. I like the cover design. It's cool.
Thank you. I do too. Okay, No Sabina has asked, what about Candlemas und Karneval? Danke, dass du ein deutsches Wort benutzt hast, weil das mir gibt eine Möglichkeit, Deutsch zu sprechen. Great question.
No, this is, I know. Like, we've violated your entire culture by suggesting we should be talking about Lent right now.
Yeah, right.
Here, Christmas crashes are still in every church. You know, they're serious about that here.
Yeah. So they're real things, especially in Europe. We just don't tend to care about them as much here in the United States. Also, Lent's coming, and so we figured we'd give people the heads up before it started, because I don't think that our next live stream is scheduled until like Ash Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm going, but on the matter of Candlemas, I'm going to Concelebrate at St. Peter's. Hopefully they'll approve my Concelebrant request, which would be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Okay, we got some love in the chat. Just a lot of love. Is fasting for Lent still a sacrifice? You benefit from it? Yes. You just give God your mixed motivations and your impure intentions and let him do the rest. People are getting pumped. Pumpitude. Tips on sharing the power of silence with those around us. Ooh.
Quietly.
Kayla Lewandowski.
Let me talk to you about why you should talk less.
Yeah. I think your comfort with silence will breed comfort in others.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to worry about it too terribly much.
No, I think sometimes, in religious life, the moments where something has been most helpful is not when someone sits me down to give me a long talk about something, because I'm almost certainly going to say, whatever you're suggesting, I'm doing the opposite at that point. But,
Thanks,
whenever Father Gregory, Father Bonaventure, or Father Joseph Anthony, when they just make a side comment like, "Oh, I do this," I think to myself, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that about you." First of all, sometimes surprise ensues, but also it could be a great witness for a little practice. You could just say like, "Yeah, in the morning when I'm doing my little thing and I'm doing my 10 minutes of meditation," people are like, "Oh, and tell me about that."
Boom. Chantel of Fortune has she has, what's the word that I'm looking for? Confirmed that I did not record. Boom. What do you think about Meister Eckhart? I don't know anything about him. How about you? Oh, this is another German speaker.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Dude, wir haben so viele deutschsprachige Leute hier in der Chat.
Yes.
Das gibt mir so viele Freude.
I too feel cold at the thought of this.
Amelia Topolinski going to blah, blah, blah. Grateful for the podcast. Let's go. Yes. Boom. Baby. Yes. Scar on the forehead was from a soccer accident. More cotton than polyester? Nope. They're more wool and poly than they are cotton. Cotton just gets wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. All right. What's your favorite book that can't be the Bible?
Oh, I do actually love Brothers Karamazov. I also love Brideshead Revisited. I also love the Chronicles of Narnia. I also love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, all of which I have here in Rome. I mean, I could just keep going with things.
My favorite's the Summa Theologiae. Can't stop, won't stop, never stop stopping. Also, I don't like Dostoevsky. I read.
No, but what about that guy that like kills that lady and freaks out about it for a whole book? That's a great
Crime and Punishment. That's my favorite of the four big ones. The other ones I have just no idea like why. I'm like, why?
Father
But
Bonaventure thinks that the idiot is the best, and I'm very confused by that.
yeah,
I don't understand that book.
yes, you can get Father Patrick Stations of the Cross. Just look up Father Patrick Briscoe Stations of the Cross. And while you're there,
Nice.
grab
I'll type
yourself
it
a
in.
copy of Witness. Daniel Pacelli has corrected me. They don't sound so much like "bark" as they sound like "bark."
We talk about seagulls a lot in Rome because
Nice.
they're here and they are gigantic.
Yeah. Dude, Chantel, yes. Christmas season lasts through Candlemas. How much time do you dedicate to silence? I'd say the majority of the day. Some on like by intention and other by just mere virtue of the fact that no one wants to talk to us. Lent, lunchtime live stream. Bears beats Battlestar
Nice.
Galactica.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
FP, what do you think about the contributions of people like Edith Stein, JP2, Dietrich von Hildebrand, Josef Seifert, and others who have tried to synthesize phenomenology and Thomism?
Yeah, I thought that I had a lot of thoughts about this probably 10 years ago, and I realized that my thoughts weren't any good. So, yeah, I think it's probably really important. And I don't know that I thought that 10 years ago.
Yeah, I do too. And my first philosophy teacher was Maria Seifert, now Maria Walter, who teaches at Franciscan University's campus in Gaming, Austria. And she's a boss, and I'm deeply indebted to her for her kindness, friendship, instruction, and general solicitude. So it's worth it. Father James Brent is our kind of go-to guy for phenomenology and Thomism. But you can ask Father Bonaventure those questions too, and he'll have more to say. Boom. Groundhog Day prediction. Punxsutawney Phil will see his own shadow. Happy blank feast day. Haven't checked yet whose it is. Turns out, ordinary time in the new calendar. Just a regular ferial day, my friend. FP, what is the best way to think about sacrifice, as this would be a major important theme during Lent?
I think that it has always been helpful for me to approach sacrifice as making space for. So oftentimes we think about sacrifice in terms of what we're losing, the thing that's going away. But when we give a bunch of stuff away, for example, we find more room. So yeah, I like that approach, and I think that that's not just branding. I think that matters.
Sorry, as you were talking, I was reading the next series of
The
comments.
next comment, which is going to be
which is awesome. And then St. Sebastian Feast Day. Thank you. And then somehow commercials are playing during your live show, and I just got one for ketamine.
I said your algorithm or mine.
Oh, tremendous. I don't even know what ketamine is, but I've heard it said in sentences which make it sound like the type of thing that's probably not from our algorithm. And there are more German speakers.
Yes. I said wunderbar.
Oh, incredible. Wait, this person took the Father Bonaventure picture from our scene, from our set. Is the motive of the incarnation grounded in sin as an efficient cause or in divine love as a final cause? Both end, my friend. But I wouldn't say sin is efficient cause, because sin isn't even efficient cause when we perpetrate it. It's sin as occasion, so it's like a quasi-material cause. Oh, yes. Epic.
Hallelujah.
Epic. Dude, people just dropping in the chat. It must be like Lauren or Mary who is here, because we're not the ones doing that. Unless you're the one doing that. Are you the one doing that?
It's not me. I'm doing
Let's go.
nothing. I don't do anything.
We have observations about seagulls. All roads do not, in fact, lead to Rome. Incredible.
Okay. Yes. No, I would like to say something about Roman roads, though.
Yeah.
Because they fixed, if you're just listening, I'm doing air quotes right now. They fixed the roads for the Jubilee. The roads are not fixed. Okay, cool.
Hey, but they have water fountains with frizzante water, so everything will be all right in the end.
Yeah.
Should Romans have a seagull instead of an eagle? Hard to say. Thanks, Father Gregory and getting after Gracie. Yeah. Have you read The Life of St. Thomas Aquinas by William of Tocco? No, but we've read other lives of St. Thomas Aquinas, which include the testimony of Tocco.
Yeah. He was the one that did all that canonization stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Habt ihr einen Audible account? Do you have an Audible account, FP?
No.
No, neither do I. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Jésus est le migrant du coin de la rue, rejeté et méprisé. Dude, this is a multilingual chat.
Is great. No,
That's
see,
awesome.
it turns out Euro time makes live stream way more fun.
Dude, it makes it. Guys, we've had 4 languages spoken, and we're going to bop to the top of the chat and grab these last 2 from Patreon. Here we go. Does God love everybody equally, or does he love some more than others? James, FP.
Yeah, it's so wild because there is a certain inequality to God's love. And when I first read this from St. Thomas, I found it really distressing. And then I realized I'm not Mother Teresa, and I would want there to be an abundance in Mother Teresa. So I'll let you get into the technical undergirding of that principle, Father Gregory.
For this I have come into the world.
After just
Um,
dropping the bomb of the thing, you can clean
Yeah.
up the pieces.
Basically, God is love. He loves us all by the self-same act of love, whom he is. Nevertheless, God gives some people more gifts than he gives to others. And in that sense, we can say that God loves some people more than others. But the idea is that God isn't doing like bland egalitarianism. He's doing differentiation for his own purpose with a kind of eye to ecosystematic harmony. So God is drawing us into a mystical body in which there need be differentiation for that organic whole to take shape. So yeah, we don't resent our Lord, our Lady, the greatest of saints, because they're somehow better than us. We rejoice in the fact that God has given them such grace. And we seek to respond to whatever grace he's given to us. Last question. How in the world can I be Christ-like? I'm so far away from being like Christ that it seems impossible. What does it mean for a sinful human to imitate Christ? Catherine.
You should read Father Gregory's dissertation on Christ and exemplarity.
There you go. I do think like a big part of the Christian life is just patience and perseverance, showing up for whatever the Lord, puts in your path. And just trusting that he'll make you as holy as he makes you. So if we treat it like I don't know, like something that we ourselves have to accomplish, then it can get kind of weird, burdensome. But if we treat it like something that the Lord wants to bestow, with which we need only consent and cooperate, then we're inclined to be in a better spot. All right, folks, I'm seeing somebody else in Father Patrick's studio, so I think it's time
exciting.
for us.
I have visitors. I have late night visitors. I don't know what this is about.
Incredible. Just want to highlight the fact that we now have a 5th language spoken. Yo hablo español.
Excellent.
Da hay un
Viva.
lancer. This is incredible. También. Okay, so things are going groovily down here in the chat, and I think we're going to call it there, folks. So thanks so much for your generosity. Thanks so much for hopping into the chat. It's been great to be with you. If you haven't yet, if you would, kindly subscribe on YouTube, push the little bell, get little updates when other things come out, or on your audio app, even though this is not an audio app type thing. Follow us on the socials. Check out godsplaining.org for upcoming events. We just made an announcement about a day of recollection in Boston. Should be Fuego Fueguito.
That's going to be fun.
Dude, Carol the pilot is speaking in Nederlands. Dankjewel, alstublieft. So that's all from us. Be sure to pick up a copy of FP's new book, Witness, in time for Lent. And know of our prayers for you. Please pray for us. We'll look forward to chatting with you next time on Godsplaining.